So I guess I just wanted to start by asking you about kind of like how you feel about what's happened with the North American Smash scene since your visa issues have turned up. You know, we've sort of had kind of what people are calling the rise of Hungrybox. Mango's kind of fallen to a slump. How do you feel about all that?
It kind of started off, now I think about it, with like eSports doing better than Mango and Mewtwo King. Even when I left, like the last tournament I attended, which was HCC Throwdown. At the time, Hungrybox was like really shook and like it didn't look too good because he lost really badly to me. But even then, at that tournament, Mewtwo King lost, I think it was to Silent Wolf, and got like 5th or 4th or something. And Mango got like the famous 17th place. Mm-hmm. So ever since then, honestly, he's been doing a lot better than any other American. Very recently, he lost to Mango at DreamHack, but that was like a last stock, you know. Mm-hmm. That's not the standard anymore. It's almost the standard that he wins and upset if he loses. And overall, I would honestly say that the biggest change since I left is just like the whole meta kind of revolves around him. Before, he used to be one of those guys that like, if you're playing well, you beat him. It doesn't matter. And now it's like, how do I counter Hungrybox? How do I beat Hungrybox? He's the final boss kind of feel. It's really different from how it used to be, where he used to be a stepping stone almost. Like, oh, well, I play Hungrybox to win semis, or like, yes, I play him in grand finals. I don't have to beat Armada again. I don't have to beat Mango Music. That's why I felt at HCC, you know, like, yes, Hungrybox beats the loser finals guy. Now it's more like, shit, now I gotta practice for him. I gotta prepare. I gotta get Prince Abu to play with, and I don't know, the Puff matchup. Puff is so good. And before, it used to be just like, whatever, Hungrybox.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything like you've noticed about his playstyle that like seems different, or is it just like he just gets sharper and he's gotten sharper and sharper?
It's definitely mostly the sharpness. Just like, I think his mental game improved a lot, and like he realized what he was doing and like just cut out a lot of unnecessary stuff. You really see him do a lot of bad habits more so than you see him inventing new stuff. So he really cut out a lot of fat, you know, out of his gameplay. It's really interesting to see with like a big gameplay change without people raving about what he changed. Like, they're not saying like, oh, he's doing power shield res, reaction tech shit. He's just like changed fundamentally and like kind of more sound. You know, some people think it's boring that he's one of the top players, or like that he improved because they don't like the matches or they don't like him. But I honestly think it's really nice to see like just a heavier emphasis on like fighting game fundamentals rather than new melee specific tech skill and like, you know, stuff like people didn't know before. He's just doing the same thing but better.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of, I also been wondering, what is it? You know, you've been watching a lot of these tournaments from home. What's it like for you? You know, watching these tournaments. What was it like? How were you feeling sitting on the sidelines?
So in the beginning, it was a strange feeling, especially the big house, which was like, well, now I'll finally get to watch one. Well, I hope it's only one, you know? And then they kept going. Smash Summit was also a really great event to watch, but it was also like, oh, I kind of wish I was there. And then you just kept going, especially after I didn't do that well at DreamHack Winter. It started getting pretty annoying, like pretty rough, where it was like, Hungrybox was winning, everybody was complaining, everyone was like telling Leff, you gotta come back. I was like, I know, I want to. And my play was obviously suffering. So every time I looked at the tournament, it was like, oh, it was really rough to see me like, and I always felt like, why can't I be on stage there? Why can't I be there? It was almost like a stop, like that I went to tournaments when I watched them, but I didn't make the top 8. Because that's the feeling you normally get when you watch top 8. Like, why am I watching top 8? Why am I not in grand finals? Why do I get to watch? But eventually, I also started enjoying it. It's a shame that some of the tournaments weren't too exciting, but like watching Genesis 3, watching Summits, both 1 and 2, was really fun.
What was, so like, it's kind of interesting that you kind of got that like stream monster lifestyle. There's a petition that was going on recently, like you found that people were saying, hey, you know, Leffen, we need to come back. What was it like kind of knowing that the crowd was there with you?
It's definitely kind of it's a new thing. I wasn't surprised, but it's still, you know, still a nice thing to have, to like not have people say like, oh, Leffen, never come back, like get the fuck out of this country, like don't ever show your face again, like stuff like that. When they were saying like, you know, it's obviously nice to be like, that they say, you need to save us, you need to come back and stop Hungrybox, rather than like, so what if you came? Nothing would have changed.
Yeah.
No one would have cared and stuff like that. And you know, like, I'm the villain and people like love to hate me, whatever. But it's also nice to see that they do miss me when I'm not there. Yeah, it was nice.
So And also, kind of in the meantime, like you said, you went to DreamHack Winter. You were at
Yeah.
Eclipse. You were kind of primarily spending a lot of time in Europe.
Yeah.
And I think at DJLS I was talking to Armada, and we were talking a little bit about sort of the difference between North America and Europe in terms of like play level. You said that it was kind of hard for you to play good matches. What is the difference between North American and European players for you?
Like, it's pretty hard to notice the differences, because the thing with Europe that people don't realize is that Europe is not a continent in the same way that America is one, where everybody speaks the same language, everybody goes between the countries all the time. For a long time, like, and even now, there's this divide where people don't really go to other countries' tournaments as much. The problem is really, like, a lot of people in Europe, they get to this level, like the Overtriforce, the Tech, the Professor Pro. Well, Professor Pro is stepping it up, AMSA together, where they plateau and they never really go anywhere, and they have to travel out of Europe for that to happen. It's really hard for people to like get to the next step without playing new people. And when they keep playing the other French people for like Tech, or like the other Dutch people from AMSA and stuff like that, it's going to be hard for them to not only just like straight up improve, because improving against lesser players is hard, but also just to like get the motivation, like, why do I need to improve? I do place in the top all the time. If you don't actively make that travel, which me and Armada, Ice, and Professor Pro are the only ones who really consistently do, you're not going to have a reason to improve, and you're not going to improve generally.
Do you find, like, I mean, I think the big deal is like when Armada came out here, like you guys really did sort of make a splash initially. Do you think that it's like the travel makes you better, or you're better so you travel, that makes you, like, is it a chicken and the egg kind of thing?
It's both, honestly. Like, playing the top place is very important, but I do think that losing the motivation to practice, or like the need to practice, is even bigger.
So what was your preparation then for like EGLX? That was your first run back in North America. What was the training process for you like?
I went to the UK for a bit because I wanted to like be forced to travel and to play people again, because I hadn't done it in a long time. So I went there. I played Professor Pro and such, and like I won the tournaments, which gave me some more extra confidence. But after that, I got back home, and I was only home for like 1.5 weeks, so I didn't actually practice like barely anything at all that one. And then I got to Canada. First, it was a bit of like just readjusting the time zones, and then I mainly practiced with Armada and a few local Canadian guys, like from I think Tuesday and Monday before the event. Going into the event, I felt pretty okay. Like, I was doing really well in friendlies and everybody, but I focused so much on getting my playing level up to where I wanted it, so I wasn't really ready for everybody's, every other character that I wasn't ready for. I was mainly focusing on the absolute like top level guys like Hungrybox, King, Mango, Armada. Didn't really, I really did kind of underestimate the next tier of talent, where West Balls, like Duck, Axe, obviously, and stuff like that. And I feel like it was also a really big mental problem, because I was focusing so much on getting the play. I was really unsure. I was always thinking, like, am I good enough? Have I fallen off? Like, how much have people improved since I last got here? Has my training in Europe like made me terrible? And there was all this big pressure, and it really, got into my head and kind of, really made me unable to focus 100% on the match every time I played. And I think that was kind of my downfall.
Do you find that you're like, once you hit that level when you're on tilt, like, is that like all hands on deck, we're down, or do you find yourself able to kind of put yourself back, I guess, off tilt, like back on the straight and narrow?
I definitely have managed to do that, but it's also a bit of my weakness. I haven't been sent to losers as many times as other people, especially since I got, this good. I haven't really had to suffer that many losses, so I'm not as good at handling it as I think other people are. And yeah, I mean, like, I definitely don't play bad, but I feel like now that I've been inactive, especially, it hurts me way more when I slump, when I tilt. I don't have that base level gameplay. I don't have the experience, like the recent experience of just being to a lot of tournaments, being in that environment where I can know, like, well, it's okay. You're used to this. This has happened. You've gotten out of this before. You really do need to have those things. Like, it's okay. You're losing. You're strong. You're mentally sound. You can come back from this. It's fine. Because if you don't, if you've been out of it a long time, you're like, the only things on your mind is like sitting at home and playing Dota. It's really hard for you to really quickly snap back from like, no, you're not losing. You can still do this. You're still in the game. I really felt those effects. That I wasn't good at getting myself off tilt once I hit it.
Then let's talk a little bit about those matches that you mentioned, EGLX. So how did you feel kind of like after those matches? Like what was sort of like running through your mind there, and yeah, like, what was happening with like to you after those matches, I guess?
I was really let down by losing to Axe, but I knew it could happen. So after Axe, I was like, I gotta focus on Losers. But I really wasn't like ready mentally, I think, for a loss like that. And after losing to Axe, I just got stuck in my own head. I really was just like, I was just thinking so much. I wasn't concentrating on the games at all. I was thinking about like everything, like you name it, like Twitter, Reddit, like what I've been doing, what's gonna come next. And I wasn't thinking like, what is my opponent doing? Is he doing rock? Is he doing scissor? Is he doing paper? And I think that was my absolute biggest downfall.
So I kind of want to like move from that to talk a little bit about Fox, just because it's you know, Fox is obviously like that's the top tier character. He's been for a very long time. I was talking to a lot of people who were sort of talking about, I think HBox was talking about, and Armada was talking about it, about how the differences, like the minute differences between Foxes. And I was curious, like where you kind of see your Fox, and how do you find yourself kind of even approaching like the Jigglypuff matchup, if that's something that you think about right now?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because I think all the top players, other than me, have like a really distinct style. They're known for a lot more distinct. It's like, oh, the Armada Peach, he does this and this, the parasol combo, the dash attacks. Even Armada's Fox is like, oh, he has to shine. Like he plays a very set play style. Then you have PP, who's like really known for his dash dance, his laser game. You have Mango, who's really known for like running in, his dash dance, and like, you know, running shine air, for example. You have Hungrybox, who's really known for like his spacing. You have Mewtwo, who's really known for his chain grab and punish game. But when you think of me, even myself, I've been like, what am I known for? Like, what do I do? And like some people say like, oh, optimization, stuff like that, or like neutral game. But that's like really vague stuff. I think my Fox isn't it doesn't as clearly fit into one category. I do think that's because I'm always trying to change it. I'm trying to copy, like, oh, I see Mango do this, I'm trying to copy that. See Armada do that, I'm trying to copy that. And that's a luxury you have with Fox, that you can play a lot of different styles, you know? If people only saw me playing, you know, Armada or maybe Hungrybox, they would think I'm a campy Fox. But since I play very aggressively during the Falcon match, for example, people don't have that impression. So I'm not as easily placed. If anything, I think maybe my Fox style is like witty, or like I really try to outsmart my opponents a lot, maybe to a fault sometimes, where I could just like break them down with like, you know, having the better tools, or having more tech skill and stuff like that, having more experience. I try to outsmart even like mid-level players sometimes. In general, I would say I'm pretty neutral, honestly. I sometimes camp, but I don't really do it to where people think my matches with Hungrybox are ever really super lame. And I don't like attack to a point where people think, oh, he's stupid, he goes in too much. That's the problem. So I think I have a pretty good style. And as for the Puff matchup, I think people kind of misrepresented in a way. You have to play, you know, a mix of both offense and defense, and lasers and space control by using aerials and going in as well. It's definitely a very good thing for Fox to just like not let Jigglypuff get in the center stage, because then it's pretty hard for you to control where she can go. She can definitely move very fast, but she can't really go through you when you have stage control, which is a very good thing, where you can't like, if she goes above you, it's pretty obvious it's not super fast at jumping from the edge to go, you know, like really high to the top platform kind of thing. And if she has to go through like the stage, or like like a lower ground type of like approach, then she's pretty predictable and she doesn't have the best options.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit about, just kind of as we're moving towards the end of stuff, a little bit about kind of the future and what you're looking at for the rest of 2016. You know, you have your visa again, or you have a visa at least through July. What's the roadmap for you from this point forward? Like, what's the, I know EVO is obviously the goal, but like, what's on the way there?
So like EVO is the biggest tournament, but it's not the best tournament. It runs best of 3. It doesn't like, to myself, I don't think I'll ever see EVO as the championship. For me, that's maybe, I don't know, there isn't a tournament that runs often enough, but I'm hoping there will be maybe a Genesis 4, stuff like that just runs every year and is the event. But, you know, like, I'm not trying to be an EVO winner. I'm not trying to be a Genesis 4 winner. I'm trying to be the best player ever. So like, my goal is not only to win, more majors than everybody this year. It's not to win more than everybody has done this year and next year. Is to win like so many majors and so many tournaments and go on such a streak that nobody has ever, performed better, and nobody ever will pick up the game and ever run on a better streak. So you're the best of all time. You're not only the best now, but you have such a good legacy that nobody in the future can ever say like, is this Falcon Master 55 and who starts playing in 2050? Is he gonna be better than Leffen? He has all these tournaments, but like, no, I was too good for my time.
Then, kind of talking about moving forward to tournaments, what is you said that you're not really necessarily you're aiming for first place in GOML, but you want to review afterwards like how you perform there. What do you think of the competition there? Like, is there anybody right there that you want to play against and show that you can beat?
Axe and Duck, and everybody. Like, I always say this because I don't try to focus on one player too much. I try to focus on winning the tournament. Some people say like, well, you should be focusing on beating everybody then, which is the point that you need to focus on. I need to focus on being on average good enough to win a tournament. I don't want to win a tournament because I happen to play Axe and Duck again. Like the actual chances of me playing Axe and Duck are kind of small actually, because that's just the way seeding works. If I beat my seed to get into like top 8, then maybe I don't play any like non-top 6 player at all. It's not my main priority. My main priority is to be so good that I can beat those players just by skill alone. And then if they also move into the tier of like being a top 6 player, like a super big threat, then I'll like have to give them more respect and put more effort in. But as it is now, Duck I think has gone a lot better. I think he could eventually move up, but I don't think I'll like have any problem with Axe if I just play better overall. So I'm just gonna focus a lot on overall having a really good skill, because right now it's really hard for me. I have sample size with Axe and Duck. That's it. So I'm gonna try to make an overall pretty good, like, what am I doing wrong as a player? Who are the biggest threats? Like Hungrybox, Mango, Armada. That's the best couple plays going there. I don't think Mutaking's going. I don't think PP's going. So I'm gonna always be ready for those 3, because that's gonna pay off in every big major ever. Like every tournament that I care about winning is gonna have those 3 people in them. Mm-hmm. So those are the main targets, and like optimizing the way that you play tournaments is also a big deal, I think, especially for someone like me who's been out of it for a bit. I play Melee, but I haven't played major tournaments, so that's going to be a big focus on GOML as well. I do think I have some better overview with what my problems are, what I want to work on now that I have EGLX, but it's just something I'm going to keep working on for every event.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you kind of put, Armada, HBox, Mango. Those are obviously kind of what people agree as the 3 to beat right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you kind of left M2K and PP because they're not going, but who do you think are like the best players right now? Who are the top 6? Because you keep mentioning top 6.
So it's Armada number 1, Hungrybox, and then Mango in some form. After that, it kind of drops off. But I still say that Mutaking is definitely still there. He's been doing pretty good now, actually. Getting close to both beating he beat Mango a couple times, beat Armada for the first time in a while, and he hasn't beaten Hungrybox, but it got like closer than usual. PP had a pretty rough ride at Battle of the 5 Gods. They also did relatively well at Genesis 3. The 6th spot is really about him or Plup, I would say. Plup has been doing really well. He has a lot of potential. He's got a lot of Game 5 losses to Pokemon Stadium, but overall, I definitely think Plup is around the 6th spot.
You say that you think players like Duck are kind of coming up. Do you think that gap there is kind of surmountable for players? Do you think eventually it'll be like a top 10 as opposed to a top 6?
That really depends. People don't understand this, but it's what's keeping Axe, Westballs, all these players, Hacks even back, that they're specialists and they're really good at what they do. But whenever Axe gets into this area, he used to do it, but even back in 2012, Apex 2012, we got 4th and beat Dust just within J-Man, I think. where he gets really good, and then people are like, oh my god, I need to learn the Pikachu matchup. Like, Axe is a really kind of one-trick pony in how he plays his playstyle. Not to a fault at times. Like, he's really good at what he does because he does only that playstyle. But he doesn't have like the spread. And once he, for example, does well, then people are like, okay, I'm gonna learn the Pikachu matchup. And then he does badly for a while. And it's like, okay, how could we ever lose with that guy? Then we forget him for a while, and then he comes back and beats somebody. And then he goes back to being like, not irrelevant, but irrelevant for tournament winning, necessity. Like, people beat him because he's a stepping stone, not because he's anybody's goal. And that's kind of how a lot of people are. Like, Westboss as well. Like, oh my god, Westboss is improving, and then like, okay, Westboss losing to everybody. And Hax was that way back with Falcon a little bit, and with this Fox, he does it really well sometimes and really badly. So the real test, I think, to becoming a real top 6 player is not to have a great performance. It's to have a great performance and another one, and then see, okay, so you're a top 6 player now. How many people look out for you? How many people gun for you? Can you handle everybody looking through every one of your matches and trying to find your weaknesses? And I think that's going to be very rough for some of the people that's been, kind of plateauing in the 7th to 11th area and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, like, it's not about necessarily that who beat you, but the fact that you lost is sort of the key there. So, and this is the last thing. You were talking about Axe there during EJLX. I think in an interview with PvP Live, Axe, said he wanted to put you in your place. He called you an asshole. I want to know, like, kind of what. I know you talked about it a little bit on stream, but I kind of want to know what you kind of had to say about that.
I mean, people. I have the villain thing. I do trash talk. I'm not the nicest guy. I'm never gonna say I'm the nicest guy. Not in my persona isn't like in the Smash community, and I don't think I'm the nicest guy in person ever. But what people don't realize is like everybody is in a way like that. Like everybody has their face, and everybody does something else in person. I don't know Axe well enough to know, is he a nice person, true at heart. I know that he is one person in real life, and he seems really, really nice to everybody on Twitter, but everybody I've talked to him like that know him don't always say the same thing, and like that's fine. He doesn't have to be the nicest guy. I do think it's kind of weird that he doesn't know me, but he calls me an asshole. Like, I think him, if anybody, if what other people say about him is true, should know that people aren't always who they claim to be. Not if they're a nice guy, not if they're an asshole. Like, obviously it's less rare, I would say, that people are an asshole for fun. But I do think I am actually kind of allowed to say that I am an asshole for the people. But I mean, in general, like, put me in my place and whatnot. Like, he can have this. It's, as I say, like, people will gun for you. SV guns for me. Westboss does it. Chillin' Dude used to do it back in the day. Like, people can do it all the time. I mean, in the end, it is a compliment because you're worth gunning for. You're worth putting in your place because, nobody would say that about Axe.